Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today, and sad to say, I've got some very important information today. Our topic is Israel, arrests, finances, and Russia. I'm going to attempt in today's program to show you something that I think only prophecy students, and probably those that have followed this ministry for quite a while, would see. Only those with many years of much information would typically see this. The average person, it'll go right over their head, right past their eyes. They'll never see it. Also, we're back in need. So if God is blessed and you can help us with a gift, now would be a really good time. So let me start with the overview of where we're going. And something just happened just before I started recording this that's going to dwarf everything else on this page. First of all, Israel. Now, what I'm doing is giving you an overview so you can see the point that I'm trying to make here. Israel, we know, don't split Israel or God will split America. Some 80 nations have now agreed to give a Palestinian state starting in September, and Israel and America are not included. Arrests. I'm going to show you a couple of reasons why many people are saying they start in September. Finances. Naming the next chair to the Federal Reserve. They are talking about doing that in September or October. Remember the word September. Genius Act just passed, makes the stable coin 1-to-1 with the dollar. The dollar goes digital, and for that I'll send you to prophecyclubcrypto.com. Also, Russia. That's the big news. Trump just offended the Russian bear. No, it's worse. I'll have to add to that. He just threatened the Russian bear. Trump told Medvedev a couple of days ago to watch your words. Russia is power behind BRICS. BRICS can cause the dollar to fall and die, and that ties in with what I'm trying to say. Brandon Bigg said Russia will be escalated, this a couple of days ago, before this recent thing just happened. Russia, the situation with Russia will be escalated to another level. It needs to be diffused. Ego and pride are involved, and we will strong-arm Russia, push the bear into a corner, and escalation of things that you don't want to see. A thin line, he said, would be crossed. Now, that's a couple of days ago. But here's the bad news. This was just posted, like an hour ago. Based on the highly provocative statements of the former president of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, who is now the deputy chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation. Look. I've ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in appropriate regions, just in case these foolish and inflammatory statements are more than just that. Words are very important and can often lead to unintended consequences. I hope this will not be one of those instances. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That scares me. Those are fighting words. Kind of like back behind the high school, this is one guy sticks his toe out into the sand and draws a line and says, I dare you to step past that line. Well, several people watching, who's not going to take a dare? That's what Trump, in my opinion, just did to Russia, the nation that the prophecies say will destroy us in 1 hour. Now, in the backdrop of that, let me continue with the other things I wanted to bring you today. Okay, so first of all, the details. We're talking about a revelation here. Israel, Palestinian state. That's the first thing we're going to talk about. Now, I covered this a couple of days ago. We're not going to read the whole thing, but the point is the headline. Israel says it will wipe the Palestinians off the map. And by the way, this is on a Russian news website. Wipe the Palestinians off the map? Oh, it gets worse. Britain issues an ultimatum to Israel and threatens to recognize the Palestinian state when, notice the date, September. Oh, it's still worse. Then Germany comes along with France and Britain, and they say they're going to recognize a Palestinian state at the same time. When? September. Then Europe comes along And it says, you know what? We're just going to reward Hamas, the terror, and we also are going to recognize a Palestinian state. Who else? Canada. As a matter of fact, Trump said he's raised the tariff rate on Canada because of their attitude toward Israel. Now, I hope Trump does not allow them to split Israel because it ain't going to happen without Trump's approval. Not going to happen. So I'm asking people to pray that Trump will not split Israel. Here's what he says. Trump is saying right now he won't recognize a Palestinian state, that will reward Hamas. I agree. Trump, stay with it. Okay? That's very, very important. Now, this is brand new. This just came out July 29, and it's like a 2-hour post. I just pulled a couple of paragraphs off. He says, about the escalation. Now, he's talking about the escalation between Russia and America and war. That's the topic. About the escalation. A thin line. By the way, I put this into the PowerPoint before Trump just issued this threat to Russia. So this was the 29th, which was 2 days before. Okay, so this is 2 days before Trump issued his threat to Russia. I'm telling you, this brother's hearing. About the escalation. A thin line with war we're about to see. If we strong arm, talking about Russia, if they strong arm, it will push this thing, in other words, the issue with America and Russia, over the escalation that we don't want to see. For North Korea is in the balance, in the back, and most people don't see it. They're in the shadows, and this is a great opportunity to go into another level like we don't want to see upon our world. He's saying big problems between America and Russia. This has an opportunity to be escalated to another level. And the Lord said, diffuse it. Ego and pride is in the way. Diffuse. We will. Strong arm, strong arm, strong arm. This is what you'll see, and you'll push the bear in a corner. He's right on. He saw this 2 days before. Here, let me go back and show you. This. He saw it 2 days before this. There's more. Sad to say, a lot more. An escalation of things that you don't want to see will take place. He didn't say if. He said they will, and they've already taken place. I'm telling you, you watch Russia. Russia is not one to be pushed around. They know they have our military secrets. They know they have hypersonic weapons that they know we can't stop. We can't. If Russia wanted to destroy America right now, it could be done in the next hour, and we can't stop it. Trump, you need to be listening. 2 Chronicles 20:20 says, believe God's prophets and so shall you prosper. Right now, your ego, Trump, your ego is getting in the way and will ultimately lead to the destruction of our nation. Let me go back. An escalation of things that you don't want to see will take place as you think you will try to de-escalate. Okay, so Trump's methods here with Russia, he ain't working. This is what Michael Snyder was told, back in February. A voice screaming at him. What usually works for the businessman from New York, Trump, is not going to work now. He needs to take it differently and slowly, and he's not doing it. He's acting like he's the world dictator. He's acting like he's in control of everything. And brothers and sisters, we got to pray. Matter of fact, let me say again, go to prophecyclub.com, slide to the bottom, and you want to sign up and become a Fast Gap member. These are people that are fasting and standing the gap for our nation. And right now we have about 850 people on that list. Frankly, it needs to be either 8,500. It needs to be a lot of people fasting and praying for this nation. Let's go on. But this will be a thin line that will be crossed. He didn't say it might be crossed. He said it will be crossed. And Trump just crossed it. This will be a thin line that will be crossed. A thin line will be crossed. Said it twice. It's so rice paper thin, but most people do not realize it. Well, you say, well, our military intelligence says this. Our military intelligence says this. Okay, so whoever is advising Trump is giving him wrong information. Oh, I hear Trump say it. You hear him say it. We've got the strongest military in the world. Our weapons are better than anyone else's out there. And, pride goeth before a fall. Not good. They're wrong. They're wrong. I hear the Spirit of the Lord say you're wrong. You need to hear me. Is Trump getting this message? No. I don't know who out there is watching, but there got to be somebody to get this message to Trump. We got to pray. Go to prophecyclub.com, slide to the bottom, join Fast Track so we can pray against this. We need your prayers. I never send product offers. I never ask for donations. This is only for people that want to fast and pray for our nation. Okay, let's go on. If we do this, we'll do this. He didn't say if. He says, if we do this and we'll do this, we'll de-escalate things. We'll back them in a corner, and they have to listen. See, this is what Trump is thinking. We're going to back them in a corner. They have to stop this war with Ukraine. No, you're about to see somebody who's a kamikaze. In other words, Putin and the Russians are willing to die rather than cooperate with America. I'll read it again. Look, you can't interpret it another way. If we do this, and we'll do this, we'll de-escalate things. That's what Trump is thinking. We'll back them into a corner, and they have to listen. In other words, they have to do what Trump tells them to do. No, you're wrong about that. You're about to deal with somebody that is a kamikaze. Do you understand? That's what I hear. The Spirit of God says, for a great shaking, is it worth your sons and daughters? What's it saying? Is it worth your sons and daughters? It's saying if you don't listen to this prophet, if you don't listen to this warning, a lot of Americans are about to be killed. Is it worth your sons and daughters for you to win this argument with Russia? Again, Trump, if you'll just call me, I will tell you Ukraine is the bad guy in this. And Russia is the big bad bear that the prophecies say will one day, when he decides to rampage, nothing or no one will stop him. I heard Trump say the other day, Russia puts all of their money into military. True, they do. What do we put all of our money in? Well, we put our money in going to ball games and having a good time and building a big extra house on the lake, having a good time. That's not Russia. These people are ruthless. They may have a smaller economy, but they have a much bigger and more powerful military. So say the prophecies. Let's look at it again. The Spirit of God says, for a great shaking is coming. Is it worth your sons and daughters? In other words, is it worth your life to solve this Russia-Ukraine thing? I will tell him, walk away. Walk away. I think he needs to publicly apologize to Russia and say, you know what? I'm sorry if I have said anything that offends you or hurts you. I'd like to see this war stopped. Probably both sides would. But I'm going to walk away. I'm going to let you guys handle it. I'm pulling all support from both sides. Pull all support from Ukraine. Walk away. Walk away, Trump. Walk away. Let Ukraine solve its problems. Let Russia solve its problems. You're not the boss of the world. Let's go on. Is it worth the life? That's what he's saying. In other words, this is your life and death. This is the same thing I told you. Don't split my land. Don't split my land. I think it's interesting how he links Russia, this thing here, with the split of Israel, because both of them are taking place right now. I hope you're listening right now. He says, this is a warning. This is what the Lord said. Do not touch my land. So there's two things happening right now. There's the issue with Russia-Ukraine, and there's the issue with possibly splitting Israel. The prophet tells them, you better listen. somehow my brothers and sisters, I'd put this in a letter and send it to the White House. It wouldn't get there. What's the real way to solve this? Fasting and praying. Fasting and praying. That's the real way to solve it, because God can turn the hearts. God raises up kings, he puts down kings. All right, let's go on. For I'll be sheep nations, and there's goat nations. You'll see more about the goat nations and the sheep nations, who stands, speaking of, with Israel, and who doesn't. You'll say, we want to be a sheep nation. But trust me, there's judgments. There are judgments, great judgments. In other words, he's saying, you mess this one up, America, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Don't be on the wrong side of these leaders. Don't be. Pray for your leaders. That's one time. Watch how many times he says it. Pray. The Lord said, pray for your leaders. Don't be on the wrong side of this, Canada. I hear the Spirit of the Lord saying, don't be on the wrong side of this, Canada. Said it twice. Don't be on the wrong side of this, England and Europe. Don't be on the wrong side of this, India, because all of those nations have already come out against Israel, splitting Israel, giving the Palestinians a state. Now, I would say this. Okay, if I was Israel, yeah, we'll give them a Palestinian state. Where would you like to have that land? Since you're for it, Canada, are you going to give them land? England or Europe or India or Saudi Arabia, you're going to give them land because they ain't going to be in Israel. So we're happy. If you give the land, we're happy to move the people wherever you want to give them a Palestinian state. But we're not giving Israeli land to the Palestinians. Now, I have stronger feelings, but if I tell what I think, we'll wind up cutting it out of the program. So I won't say anything. About the man with a gray beard, Modi of India, war crimes. He was voting against Israel. Yeah, war crimes. Standing against Israel. That's the man, Modi of India. And I think I'll leave that undefined. Let's go on to the next one. So this is from Most Important News, or Michael Snyder. This guy's been right on. He's been right on. Listen to what he says. Something really big just happened at the UN, and it appears that, here it is, the New York Declaration, remember that, the New York Declaration could potentially change everything. What's he talking about? The mainstream media has mostly ignored what occurred at the UN this week, but it is a monster story. We are literally witnessing the biggest international push for the recognition of the Palestinian state that we've ever witnessed. The International Conference for the Peaceful Settlement of the Question of Palestine and the implementation of a two-state solution ended Wednesday. It produced a blueprint for peace in the Middle East called the New York Declaration. Now, right now, Israel and America is against this. But we got to pray that America and Trump stays against it. Don't split it. And if the other nations split it, not our problem. But we don't want to be part of that split. The following information about the New York Declaration comes from the official UN website. Here's what it says. Now, you read the whole thing, but I see down here I'm getting short on time. The high-level International Conference for the Peaceful Settlement of the Question in Palestine says they want a two-state solution. The United States and Israel are not participating, but France, Saudi Arabia, and other UN member states, basically all of the rest of them, want a settlement of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Why? Because the corrupt media puts pictures out of little starving babies and said well, most of them are not even from Palestine. Most of them aren't even starving. It's not Israel's fault. The whole war with, I started getting in my opinion here. The whole war between Israel and Gaza could be solved in the next few minutes. All Gaza and Hamas has to do is give up the hostages, lay down their weapons. It's over. But Hamas likes martyrdom. They like death. Okay, I've said too much. Let me move on. The New York Declaration on the peaceful settlement of the question of Palestine wants a two-state solution. And they want it by the end of the 79th session, or, here's that word again, September. They want it early September. Remember September. Got a point to make there. Ending the war in Gaza is just the first step of the plan. Once that occurs, then the goal is to transfer control of Gaza to the Palestinian Authority. Okay. It's like taking a shower with your raincoat on. Okay, you doesn't solve anything. This is what I got to shut up because if I tell you my opinion, I'll get in trouble. I just have to have it deleted. Okay, so here's what happens when I say something wrong in the program, because I pray, Lord, don't let me say anything wrong, anything that is offensive. Help me say the right words, not the wrong words. I pray that every time before I do a program. So it may be immediately, but most of the time it's later on in the evening. There's been times even in the middle of the night. God woke me up and said, "Nah, like this comment here, get it out," and I will have to email the editor, and she'll take it out. And that's happened, I'd say, over 10 times. So I have someone watching over me to see that I say the right things. After 2 intense days, the UN Conference on Palestinian produced the New York Declaration, a concrete phased roadmap to establish an independent, demilitarized Palestinian state along Israel. I do not agree with that. Okay, so it goes on to say France and Saudi Arabia and some other 90 nations want a timetable to enforce the steps to force Israel and Hamas to finally have this win. Notice the word again there, September. So we're talking about September arrests. We're talking about a lot of things happening in September. And I'm running out of time. I want to get to my next point here. So let me get to it here. Another one, September. Another one, September. This is possible arrests in September. Now, I'm going to try to make it through this. This is very important. I want you to notice in this dream, I've read it a couple of times, but it keeps coming to me that this is the most important thing to look at right now. What it's about to talk about is there's about to be a change in our finances, that Trump is going to take over in a more bigger and stronger way, that people have not been celebrating yet, but there's massive arrests, and then suitcase nukes, but I don't think the suitcase nukes go off immediately. I think it's roughly 6 months down the road. Okay, let me get to it. I'll run out of time here. Jason Meeks. The dream starts out, we stopped at an ATM machine to get some cash out, got $20, but I realized I didn't get enough, so I put in, got another 22. But now the charge had jumped from $2 to $42 to pull something out of the meaning. There's a change in the finances. As we drove back home, we stopped at a major bank. The television screens were showing massive arrests. Okay? Financial change, massive arrests. An alert went out on my cell phone that DJT was assuming control as the new president. Wait a minute, he's already president. Well, he's president of the all-capital United States of America. He is not president of the new Republic of the United States of America. I'm going to get the word right. Republic of the United States of America. I expected people to be rioting, but no, they were rejoicing. Then in the dream, a man came to me saying that he was a Christian and all of his bosses had been arrested, meaning massive arrests. So financial change, a new flag, a new name, massive arrests. And apparently what they're saying, it starts in September. I'm not saying that. That's what they seem to be saying. As people took to the streets of victory celebration, we joined in. We jumped on the back of a fire truck to catch the ride of the parade because the streets were full. Then I heard an explosion, suitcase nuke. Now, I think the suitcase nuke does not necessarily go off then, about 6 months later, because of what Pastor Massey was told. And then it talks about there's a nuclear emergency. My point is, I want you to watch for a change in the banking. I personally think we're going to see that real soon, based upon what we've been told, the prophecies and the whatnot. Massive arrests, rejoicing in the streets, bankers arrested, and then probably 6 months later, suitcase nukes. Now, here's another thing, I'm about done. Rosh Hashanah is celebrated for 2 days in Israel. You can read the rest if you want to. But it's September 22, 3, and 4 in Israel. Now, what is Rosh Hashanah? Well, if you read, it was in the 7th month, first day of the month, and these are when Rosh Hashanah is coming up in 25. And on that day, they're commanded to blow trumpets, but here's the point. It's an offering made by fire. It is the Feast of Trumpets is the day that Jesus returned for Armageddon. It's a big change between the world of sin moving to the world of without sin. It's a change of the old world being burned up in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, when Jesus blows the morning star out, goes to the center of the earth, sets the foundations, the mountains on fire, the hills melt like wax at the presence of the Lord. That all happens on trumpets. So it could very well be that some big things happen in September, maybe even on about or around the Feast of Trumpets. So my point is, watch September. Watch for problems with Russia, dollar falling, massive arrests, and earthquakes. All of those could be arriving in September. Did I say they are? No. Matter of fact, we're going to pray against them, right? But they could be arriving. I'm a watchman. That's my job. If I see a sword coming, I'm to blow the trumpet and warn you. I've warned you. We're having a prophecy, healing, and deliverance conference. Now, this is only at our small church. There's only 100 people, room for 100 people. So if you want to go, you got to go to prophecyclub.com, click on this right here. Over here on the right, see the red arrows pointing. Click on that, and it'll take you back over to this where you can register. It tells you all about it. If you don't want to lose your life's savings, if you have an IRA or a 401k, the thing to do is call 800-200-GOLD. 800-200-GOLD. These folks are Christians, and they specialize in helping people not lose their life savings in the event of a stock market crash and things like that. Look, most of the 401ks, most of the IRAs are in paper, backed by paper, and as Lindsey Williams says, if it's in paper, it's worth the paper it's written on. You can lose it all. 1-800-200-GOLD. 800-200-GOLD. Hey, give them a call. Doesn't hurt, doesn't cost you anything. See if they can give you some good advice. In 2021, I started making bread. And long story short is I believe God showed me that wheat is God's famine food, just like it was famine food back in the 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine, days of Pharaoh and Joseph. And I believe that that's what God has planned to feed his people. And you get it by going to josephskitchen.com. 3 steps. First, you want to get a machine package. Second, you want to order 6 ingredients and watch some videos, download the recipes to be able to make the bread. josephskitchen.com. Most of your long-time storage food, emergency food, all of that, typically are talking $9,000, $10,000 to feed one person for a year. Joseph Kitchen can show you how to do it for around $1,000 a person, and your kids will actually eat it, and it's actually good for you. Here's some bread that I made. In my case, I lost weight, lowered my blood pressure, gives me more energy. I eat a morning, slice in the morning, slice in the afternoon, always a slice before I go play racquetball. Go check it out, josephskitchen.com.